Dear students, today we are going to learn a very important topic of basic concept of chemistry chapter, that is stoichiometry, or we can say chemical calculations based on chemical equation. So in order to understand this stoichiometry, we will start from very beginning, that is what is a chemical reaction first of all. So as we all of know all of us know that in a chemical reaction, two or more substances interact among each other and new products are formed as a result of this interaction. So in this whole chemical reaction, what happens? Old bonds are broken in the reactants and new bonds are formed in the products. So this is the chemical reaction. Now chemical equation is what? It is the symbolic representation of a chemical reaction by using chemical formula of reactants and products. So already we have learned about formula of compounds, molecular formula, empirical formula, all those things. So by using those chemical formulas, what is done? The symbolic representation can be made of a chemical reaction. So the reactants are those substances in which the change is brought. That means which react among themselves and they are present in the left hand side of the arrow. Okay, and products are those substances which are formed and it is present on the right hand side of the arrow or the equation. So basically this is a chemical equation. Now chemical equation can be balanced or it can remain unbalanced. So what is an unbalanced chemical equation? So in case of unbalanced chemical equation, number of atoms on both sides are not equal. Suppose this is the heating of potassium chloride solid to form potassium chloride solid and oxygen gas. And gases are indicated by an upward arrow like this. So in this case, if we see, number of potassium atom in the left hand side is 1 and number of potassium atom in the right hand side is again 1. And chlorine is also same, left hand side it is 1, right hand side it is 1. But if we look at the oxygen atom, then on the left hand side number of oxygen atoms is 3, but in the right hand side number of oxygen atoms is 2. So it is not a balanced chemical equation. So it is just as the chemical equation, and this type of equations are known as unbalanced. But if we have to make this equation balanced, that means what will happen? Number of each and every atoms on left hand side as well as on the right hand side should be or must be equal. So how we do that balancing part? That is by heat and trial method. So you have to put number stoichiometric coefficients, those are known as stoichiometric coefficients. So by heat and trial method, so that finally you can make the atoms, number of atoms in both sides equal. So if we balance this equation by heat and trial method, what we will get? 2, 2, 3. Okay. So total number of oxygen atoms will be 6 here and 6 there, and for potassium and chlorine it will be 2 2s. So these numbers which we have put for balancing are known as stoichiometric coefficients. Okay, and those numbers are very significant because they give the exact molar ratio at which the reactants are reacting and products are formed. So from this balanced chemical equation, we can know that when 2 moles of potassium chlorate have been heated, what will form? 2 moles of potassium chloride will be formed and 3 moles of oxygen gas will be formed. So exactly stoichiometric coefficients, what they give? They give the exact molar ratio but not the mass ratio. It is not the mass ratio. So 2 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram, that way we cannot say, but what we can say, only 2 moles, 2 moles, 3 moles. So basically, if we have to see, stoichiometric coefficients are the coefficients in which reactants are reacting and the products are producing. Now what is this stoichiometric calculation then? This stoichiometric calculation deals with the calculation of masses, sometimes volumes also, of the reactants and products involved in the balanced chemical equation. For example, again, if we are taking this example, that is methane gas, when you are heating with in presence of oxygen, so or combusted, we can say, so water formed carbon dioxide and water, because it is a hydrocarbon. When you heat it in combusted in presence of oxygen, so always carbon dioxide and water are formed. Now first thing we have to do, that balancing has been done. All the atoms on both left hand side and right hand side, number of atoms are equal. So finally what we have got, 1 2 1 2. So what are the informations we can infer from this balanced chemical equation? First of all, we can say 1 mole of methane gas reacts with 2 moles of oxygen gas to produce 1 mole of carbon dioxide gas and 2 mole of water. Secondly, you can say 22.4 liter of methane gas reacts with 22, that means 45 liter of oxygen gas to give 22.4 liter of carbon dioxide and 45 liter of water. And also what we can infer, 16 gram of methane, means 1 mole means 16 gram, reacts with 32 gram of oxygen, that means 64 gram of oxygen to give 44 gram of carbon dioxide, its molar mass, and 18 gram of water. So all these informations can be inferred from a balanced chemical equations. So any calculation if we have to do by using these informations are fall under the category of stoichiometric calculation. Now so for solving unbalanced chemical equation, a method known as POAC method is applied. The full form of POAC is principle of atom conservation. So as you know, the principle of energy conservation, mass conservation, that means energy or mass cannot be created nor destroyed. It can be only transferred from one form to another. The same is the concept with atom also. So atoms can neither be created nor destroyed, only can be transferred from one form to another. Okay, so what we can say, if the masses are conserved, that means moles are also conserved. So moles are nothing but mass divided by molar mass. So that is the principle. So when a reaction is carried out, the number of atoms present in the reactant should be equal to total number of atoms present in the product. So moles of, if we take this example again, heating of potassium chloride to form potassium chloride and oxygen, then moles of potassium atoms in the reactant equal to moles of potassium atoms in the products. So now if we calculate moles of potassium atoms in KClO3, it will be moles of KClO3 multiplied by the atomicity of potassium atom, that is equal to 1. So 1 into moles of KClO3, it should be equal to 1 into moles of KCl, because atomicity of potassium is again 1 in case of KCl. So what is the mole of KClO3 then? Then given mass divided by molecular mass, and for KCl also given mass divided by molecular mass. Again, if we apply same POAC for oxygen atoms, then moles of KClO3 will be multiplied by its atomicity, that is equal to 3. And in case of oxygen, its atomicity is 2. So wait, since oxygen is a gas, so this mole can be calculated by this method also, that is volume of oxygen at NTP in liter divided by 22.4 liter. So by applying this POAC method, we can calculate moles of any of the unknown factor from these things. Okay, so later in the examples we will see how POSC method is applicable in solving the problems, but before that we will learn where this POSC method is applied actually. Helpful for those problems in which reactants are either difficult to balance or impossible to balance. POSC is applied to atom which is completely consumed. Yeah, this point is very important. We have to see which atom, not only atom, first of all we have to see means if the reactant has been completely converted to product or not. If some unreacted unreacted reactants are left, then we cannot apply POSC to the atoms involved in that reactant. Okay, so means later we will see explain these things in while discussing the problems, because in some problems it is given 2 or 3 reactants, but one of the reactant is in excess, so we cannot apply the POSC to that atom which is present in the excess reactant. Let us see an example based on this POSC method. The question is that a sample of KClO3 on decomposition yielded 448 ml of oxygen gas at NTP. So calculate weight of oxygen produced, number 1, weight of KClO3 originally taken, and weight of KCl produced. So same equation, that means decomposition KClO3. So obviously it will yield KCl and oxygen gas. And what are the information given? It yielded 448 ml of oxygen gas at NTP. Okay, now first question is that calculate weight of oxygen produced. So everything is given for oxygen product as a product. So first of all we can calculate this weight of oxygen directly without going to the chemical equation. So since volume of oxygen at NTP has been given, so we can directly find out moles of oxygen. Then it will be simply 448, since it is ml, so we are taking the ml to 2400. So what will be the mole then? 0.02. So once you get the mole, then you can find out weight by multiplying with its molecular mass, that is 0.64 gram. So first problem is solved. Now it is asked weight of KClO3 originally taken, that means given weight, that is the given weight we know, W has been asked for KClO3. Now for this we are applying POSC for oxygen atom, because for oxygen atom we are now knowing the moles. Okay, applying POSC for oxygen atom, since we have already calculated the moles, we can apply as it is 3 is a moles of KClO3 into 2 is a moles of oxygen will be simply 0.02, already we have calculated. So what will be done? Weight of KClO3 is unknown for this case, but molar mass is 122.5, that we have calculated, so it will be equal to 2 is a moles of oxygen, that means 0.04. So then we can calculate this weight of KClO3 originally taken as 1.634 gram. Okay, so in this way the second question we have solved. Now the third part is left, that is weight of KCl produced. So for that thing, where we can apply POSC on potassium atom. So on potassium atom, if we apply POSC, finally we will get weight of KCl produced as 0.991 gram. Another example, what weight of AgCl will be precipitated when solution containing 4.77 gram of NaCl is added to a solution of 5.77 gram of AgNO3. So AgCl is the product. AgCl will be precipitated, that means AgCl must be the product, and what are the reactants? NaCl and AgNO3. So first of all we write the chemical equation, NaCl plus AgNO3, NaNO3 plus AgCl. Okay, see this equation, is already balanced itself. NaCl, AgNO3, NaNO3, AgCl. Okay, so no need to go for any further balancing. So already it is in balanced chemical equation. So now, what are the information given? That is, the masses have been provided for the reactants. Okay, so directly what we do, we can convert the masses into moles by dividing with its molecular masses. So then number of moles of NaCl will be this much and number of moles of AgNO3 will be this much. Now see, here two reactants have been provided and information or the given masses have been given for both the reactants. Now how will you apply POAC then? Okay, so on which atom you can apply POAC? So in this case, in such type of problems you have to see that is which reactant has been completely consumed, or this can be interpreted from the number of moles of the reactant. Since the number of moles of AgNO3 is less, 0.0394 is less than that of NaCl, that means the whole of AgNO3 will be converted to AgCl. So that means what? Means among these two reactants, it is AgNO3 which will be completely converted to AgCl. NaCl, since it is in excess, so some amount may not be converted to NaNO3 or AgCl. Okay, so it is determined in that way. If more than one reactants have been provided and also information have been given for both the reactants. But sometimes what happens, like in that methane problem, okay, initially we have seen one methane, that is hydrocarbon combustion. So in the case of those problem, what givens, this methane has been combusted in excess of oxygen to get carbon dioxide and water. So in such type of problem, no need to go for this mole calculation. Everything you already know that it is the reactant which is methane has been completely converted to carbon dioxide and water, because oxygen which was used as a reactant, it is in excess. So in those cases, that is very direct and easy to determine the that completely consumed reactant. But in case of such problem, this kind of problem, you should know which one has been converted completely. So now, as you can know that AgNO3 has been converted completely. So what you can do, you apply POAC on Ag atoms. So POAC, if you apply on Ag atoms, it will be multiplied by the moles of AgNO3 multiplied by its atomicity equal to moles of AgCl multiplied by its atomicity. So finally, from weight of AgCl, then you can find out by using all these things as 4.87 gram. Let us see another example in which it is given that 0.596 gram of a gaseous compound containing only boron and hydrogen occupies 484 ml at NTP. When the compound was ignited in excess oxygen, all its hydrogen gas recovered as 1.17 gram of water and all the boron was present as B2O3. Find the molecular formula of the compound. Now see this example here. First of all, it is given nothing is provided as in information about the reactant. Only it is given that it is a gaseous compound, and what does it contain? It contains boron and hydrogen, and its mass is given 0.596 gram and it occupies 484 ml at NTP. So from this information we can calculate the weight, because see 484 ml of the compound weighs 0.596 gram. Okay, then how much at NTP weight volume will weight? That means 22 1400 ml of the compound will weigh then 27.6 gram. So what will be done? Its molar mass will be simply 27.6 gram. So that much we can know from this information. Now it is told that when this compound was ignited in excess oxygen, that means that compound and oxygen were present, but already it is told that oxygen is in excess. So no need to worry about which will be consumed more or which will be consumed totally. Okay, so POC we can directly apply to the compound, we can know. So next, what is seen, when this compound was ignited in excess oxygen, all its hydrogen gas recovered as 1.17 gram of water. That means hydrogen has been completely converted to water, and all of the boron was present as B2O3, means boron has also been converted to completely to B2O3. So we can apply POC on both hydrogen as well as on boron. Now finally this molecular formula has been asked. We will assume the formula of the compound is BXHY. Since only boron and hydrogens were present, so BXHY. So this BXHY, when ignited with oxygen, it produces water and B2O3. And the informations are, that is 0.596 gram for BXHY, and for water it is 1.17 gram. So you can apply POC on hydrogen atom. So it is atomicity is Y into moles of BXHY, that means 0.596 gram it is given, divided by its molar mass that you have calculated out, 27.6, and it is equal to atomicity of hydrogen in water, that is 2 into weight of water is 1.17 divided by its molar mass, that is 18. So if we do all these calculations, what we will obtain? Y equal to 6. Now once you know 6, that is formula is BXHY, so mass is 27.6. all these things you have known. So what is then? Boron mass is 11, to 11x plus 1y equal to 27.6. So in this way we can calculate x equal to 2. Hence the formula of the compound is B2H6. Coming to the next example, what is written that 4.90 gram of KClO3 on heating shows a weight loss of 0.384 gram. What percent of the original KClO3 has decomposed? To solve this kind of problem, so first of all we see the same equation that KClO3 on heating produces KCl and oxygen. So whatever be the mass loss, it will be obviously due to oxygen, because oxygen is gas, so it will escape. So otherwise this KCl will be again in the solid form, so that cannot account for the mass loss. So that is the mass loss of 0.384 gram is because of oxygen. So we can find out easily oxygen formed from here. This given mass divided by its molecular mass will give you the numbers of moles. So now you can apply POC on an oxygen atom, and in the left hand side the atomicity of oxygen is 3, so moles of KClO3 multiplied by its atomicity 3 equal to moles of oxygen, that is 0.012 multiplied by its atomicity, that is 2. So finally we will get the numbers of moles of KClO3. Now what percent of the original KClO3 has decomposed, it was asked. So now GMM of KClO3 already we have found out in the earlier problem, that is 122.5. so 0.008 mole of KClO3 means 0.008 into 122.5 gram, that means the given mass will be 0.9800 gram. Hence the percentage of the original compound is 0.9800, and it was taken as 4.90 gram. So it will be multiplied by 100, so that means 20%. Next, coming to our next topic of this chapter, that is the concept of limiting reagent for balanced chemical equation. So previously in one of the example of POC, I have discussed about it, but not in the name of limiting reagent. But we have solved already a problem like that, where more than one reactants were involved and given masses were given for both the reactants. Okay, and we have solved that problem based on POAC. Now if we want to solve this problem by mole method, that is by making the equation balanced, so how can we go? So when this concept of limiting reagent will come, when in the reactions where more than one reactants are involved, one has first to identify the limiting reactant. So what does it mean? That means the reactant which is completely consumed, which will be completely converted to the product. So all the calculations are to be carried out with the amount of the limiting reagent. For example, say we are taking a reaction like A plus 2B gives you 4C. Now initial information has been provided for both the reactants A and B. That is, initially 5 moles of A and 12 moles of B have been taken. Now if your A is the limiting reagent, then what will be the moles of product? C. It will be 20. How it will be? It will be like C. We have to do first balancing of this chemical equation. We have obtained the stoichiometric coefficients. For A it is 1, for B it is 2, for C it is 4. So these stoichiometric coefficients give you the mole ratio, exact molar ratio in which the reactants are reacting and the products are formed. That means when 1 mole of A reacts with 2 moles of B, then 4 moles of C has been formed. But now your A is the limiting, so we will count only the moles of A for determining the moles of C formed. So for that thing, how we will proceed? Say from 1 mole of A, 4 moles of C has been formed. So for 5 moles of A, 20 moles of C will be formed. But now if the reverse is the case, that means if B is the limiting reagent, then moles of C will be 24, because from 2 moles of B, 4 moles of C are formed. Then from 1 mole, then 2, then from 12 mole it will be 24 moles of C will be formed. So the other one, the limiting reagent is is to be 1, then the other one will be known as the excess reagent. So amount of excess reagent and the amount of product formed is always decided by the limiting reagent, where mass or mole of the minimum 2 reactants are provided. Okay, so this is the concept of limiting reagent. But next thing is that how can you know which one is the limiting reagent? Already I have told that if something is given like in excess, then directly you can know the other one will be the limiting reagent. Like the case of the combustion of hydrocarbon with excess of oxygen. But now if nothing like excess is given, but instead of excess, initial moles have been provided for both the reactants, then we have to determine the limiting reagent. Okay, so for that first thing, the first step is the balanced chemical equation. Second step, what you will do, you will divide the given moles, that is 5 mole for A and 8 mole for B, by its stoichiometric coefficients. That means 5 by 1 and 8 by 2 here. So that means the given mole divided by stoichiometric coefficient, and the one with the lowest value will be the limiting reagent. So in this case, lowest value B has the lowest value, that means so B will be the limiting reagent in this case. Now once you have found out the limiting reagent, then you can find out the moles of A left after the reactant, that will be the excess amount, and the moles of C formed as a result of this reagent. So now final moles of A will be moles of A, that was initial moles, you have to subtract minus SC of A divided by, that means stoichiometric coefficient of A divided by stoichiometric coefficient of Lr into moles of Lr. That is understandable from here also. That is, say now your B is the limiting reagent. So with 2 moles of B, 1 mole of A reacts. Then with 8 moles of B, how many moles of A will react? So it will be simply 1 divided by 2 into 8, isn't it? And moles of A is already 5, that means it will be 5 minus 1 divided by 2 into 8, that is equal to 1. So moles of A left will be 1. And moles of C formed, that is again we can calculate from here also. That is, from 2 moles 1 mole of C is formed, then from 8 moles of B, then 4 moles of C will be formed. And theoretically the formula is that final moles of C formed is equal to SC of C divided by SC of Lr into moles of Lr. So finally then we can find out moles of excess reagent left is 1, and obviously B will be 0. Moles of B will be 0 because it is completely consumed and it is completely converted to the product, and moles of C formed will be 4 moles of C. So the problems where more than one reactants are involved and the information has been provided for both the reactants, the things we can do in this way. First, balancing the equation, then find out the limiting reagent, then determine based on it we can determine the other factors. Here we see few examples based on limiting reagent concept. First example, it is 5 moles of sulfur dioxide and 5 moles of oxygen are reacting with each other to form sulfur trioxide. Determine Lr, weight of Er left, and amount of SO3 formed. Okay, so the reaction is very simple. That is, sulfur dioxide reacts with oxygen to form sulfur trioxide. First of all, you make the equation balanced. So initially it was given 5 moles of SO2 and 5 moles of oxygen. Obviously initially SO3 will be 0. So now you determine the Lr, that is, divide 5 by 2 its stoichiometric coefficients and 5 by 1 its stoichiometric coefficient, and obviously you will get sulfur dioxide as the Lr because its value is 2.5. So oxygen will become your Er. So the final thing you determine from here, obviously SO2 will be 0 and oxygen will be 5 minus 1 by 2 into 5, that is SC of 1 divided by SC of Lr into 5, that again it will become 5 by 2, and the final moles of SO3 formed will be SC of SO3 divided by SC of Lr into 5, that is equal to 5 again. So these are the moles. You have got final moles of the things, but in your question it was asked about weight. So convert these moles into weight. 5 by 2 into 32, 80 gram, and the sulfur trioxide will be 5 into 80, that is 400 gram. We will see this example. How many moles of zinc ZnFeS2 can be made from 2 gram of zinc, 3 gram of iron and 4 gram of sulfur? Okay, so first we write down the equation. Zinc plus iron plus sulfur will give you zinc Fe(S2). Next thing, you just balance it, 2Fe, 4S and this. Now initially these things are given, everything is given in your gram, but you cannot do the calculations on gram. So you must convert the grams or amount to moles. All the calculations have to be carried out in terms of mole because these stoichiometric coefficients give you the exact molar ratio, not the mass ratio. So you have counted the moles 0.03, 0.05, 0.125. Only after knowing the moles you can determine the Lr. Again by the same procedure as earlier, by dividing with its stoichiometric coefficients, and from where you can find out that iron is your Lr. Okay, and then obviously you can find out zinc Fe(S2), moles of zinc Fe(S2), it will be half into 0.05, that is 0.025. We will see one more example on this limiting reagent concept. See this, 3 moles of the gas ethane, C2H6 is ethane, is mixed with a 60 gram of this gas and 2.4 in the 10 to the power 4 molecules of the gas is removed. Okay, the leftover gas is combusted in the presence of excess of oxygen. Then find out the volume of carbon dioxide and water formed at STP. Density of water in gram per ml, 1 gram per ml. Now see this question. First it is given 3 moles of gas has been taken. Now it is given with amount 60 gram of this gas. Then it is given in terms of molecules. Okay, so what you have to do, you cannot to make the calculations in different facts. So it will be easier for you to convert all the units into one single unit. So that will be obviously mole. If you convert this gram into mole, if you convert these molecules into mole, it will be most easier for you. So first of all, we should know the GMM of C2H6, that is 30 gram. So that means 60 gram of this gas means 2 moles. So hence total mole will be 3 plus 2, it is 5 moles. Now this 2.4 into 10 to the power 24 molecules implies 0.4 into 10, that means 4 moles, because it can be obtained by dividing with the Avogadro's number. So 5 mole, total 5 moles were there and 4 moles have been removed. So how much left? It is 1 mole of the gas is combusted with oxygen finally. So this is the equation, chemical equation for the combustion of hydrocarbon. Carbon dioxide and water will be produced. Now first thing we have balanced it, then oxygen already it is mentioned in excess, so obviously ethane will be the limiting reactant. So moles of CO2 formed will be simply 2 divided by its coefficient and into moles of LR, that will be 2 moles. Now at STP, 2s are 22.4, that means 44.8 liter of CO2 will be formed, but water is not gas, so cannot apply STP rule. Hence moles of water formed will be 3 by 1 into 1, that is 3 moles. That means how much? 54 gram. Now density is mass per volume, so volume will be 54 liter. So in this way we can solve this type of problem too. Next we will see the next topic of this chapter, that is eudiometry or gas analysis. So what does it involve? It involves actually the reaction which is completely carried out in the gaseous phase, and the products which are formed are also in the gaseous phase. So since everything is in gaseous phase, how do we do this kind of reaction and how the products formed are counted or accounted? Because everything is in gas, so how can we calculate the amount then? So this kind of reactions are basically carried out in a typical apparatus that is known as eudiometer tube. So it is a glass tube which is graduated. Okay, these marks are there, and 2 platinum arcs are inserted in this eudiometer tube, and the lower bottom of the tube has been covered with some adsorbents, and those adsorbents may be those adsorbents are different for different gases. Actually those adsorbents are kept for taking in account the products which are formed in the gaseous reaction, and the products will be adsorbed on the adsorbents. So what is done actually? Initially the reactant gases are inserted in the eudiometer tube, and these are the volume measurements, and then the proper conditioning has been put, temperature, pressure, etc., and the products which are formed, gaseous products, and some of the gaseous products have been adsorbed on this this one adsorbents. But one thing we should note that since water vapor produced during the reaction changes to liquid on cooling, so the volume of water is neglected. But while applying POAC, moles of water produced cannot be neglected in this case. Okay, so these reactions are carried out in this way, and the calculations are also done in this way, but it actually what we can measure in this case, only the volume we can measure of the gases. In this case, how much volume of A and B were inserted, and how much volume of C and D have been produced, but we will convert this volume to the corresponding moles. Suppose A volume of A and B volume of B has been reacted, and it produces C volume of C and D volume of D. So what we can do, we can directly convert this, not converting, directly take this volume as moles. A volume, that means A moles. B volume, that means B moles. C volume, that means C moles. And D volume, that means D moles. So what is the law from which we can use this volume directly as moles? That is the Avogadro's law. Because Avogadro's law already states that at equal volume of all gases under similar conditions of T and P, they contain equal numbers of molecules or moles. Okay, so this is the eudometric and basis of eudometric analysis. So let us do one or two examples, then it will be clearer. First, let us see this example. 10 ml of a gaseous hydrocarbon was burnt completely in 80 ml of oxygen at NTP. The remaining gas occupied 70 ml at NTP. This volume becomes 50 ml on treatment with KOH solution. What is the formula of the hydrocarbon? Okay, before that, let me clear you this. What is KOH is used here? This is used as a adsorbent, and we should know this KOH will adsorb only the CO2 which will be produced. For example, another example is that NaOH. So NaOH will also adsorb CO2. But there is another compound called pyrogalol. If it is used, then you should know that pyrogalol will be used for adsorbing oxygen. So these are some of the specific compounds which are specific for specific gases. Now let us see the question once again. So it is told a gaseous hydrocarbon, and it is completely burned in oxygen. Okay, but the conditions are NTP. Now remaining gas occupied, that means, so we have to know what will be the gases which are present in the remaining gases, and which total occupies 70 ml, and it told that this remaining gas become 50 ml. That means 20 ml has been adsorbed on KOH, so that 20 ml has to be CO2. Let's come to the solution. Let the hydrocarbon be CXHA. We know that the hydrocarbon on combustion gives a CO2 and water, and volume occupied by water is neglected. So this unreacted 70 ml will contain volume of CO2 produced and unreacted oxygen. Okay. So some CXHA will be completely combusted, but oxygen will be in excess. So there will be some amount of unreacted oxygen, and obviously CO2 has been produced, and both will be equal to 70 ml. But already it is told that it has become 50 ml on treatment with KOH. That means CO2 has been adsorbed by KOH. It should be adsorbed. So therefore volume of unreacted oxygen will be, that is equal to 50 ml. And volume of oxygen reacted with a 10 ml of hydrocarbon will be, initially it is 80 ml. So 80 ml minus 50 ml will be equal to 30 ml. That means how much oxygen reacted? It is 30 ml. Now volume of CO2 produced by 10 ml of hydrocarbon and 30 ml of oxygen, it will be 70. That means the remaining gas 70 minus 50, that is CO2 adsorbed by KOH, will equal to 20 ml. Okay. So finally we can make the equation then. CxHOA plus oxygen will give you CO2 plus water. Okay, CxHOA already it is told 10 ml, so it is 10 ml. Oxygen which have reacted, how much oxygen have reacted, that we have calculated out, it is 30 ml, and how much CO2 has been produced, it is equal to 20 ml. Right? So now by applying that Avogadro's law, uriometric analysis, we can directly take these mLs as 10 moles, 30 moles and 20 moles. So next what we will do, we will apply POAC for oxygen atom, that will be equal to 2 the 30 on the left hand side, and right hand side it will be equal to 2 the 20 for CO2 and 1 into moles of water, which is unknown. So from here we can calculate moles of water as 20.